7 heartbreaking mysteries about the life of Jesus Christ. Why was Jesus crucified? What does heaven, where Jesus resides, really look like? What's the mystery behind those statues of Jesus that suddenly seem to move? Hey, welcome back to KINH LUP TV. Well, I guess we all know Jesus, the central figure of Christianity, whose teachings have deeply influenced the spiritual lives of countless people. But even with all that, there are still so many mysteries about him that remain unknown. And since December is the month we celebrate his birth, let's take this opportunity to explore some of the most intriguing secrets about Jesus. Join us as we uncover these fascinating truths here on KINH LUP TV. 1. The birth of Jesus Christ. Over 2,000 years ago, in the land of Judea, the Jewish people were living under the rule of a small-time king named Herod the Great, who was under the authority of the Roman Emperor Augustus. The Jews were suffering under foreign oppression, but they still had their eyes on the prize, waiting for the Messiah to come and set them free. And right at that moment, Jesus entered the world. In a town called Nazareth, up in the region of Galilee, there was a young virgin named Mary. She was engaged to a carpenter named Joseph. But one day, out of nowhere, an angel appeared to Mary. This angel, who introduced himself as Gabriel, told her that she would have a son, and his name would be Jesus. He would be the true King of the Jews, the Christ, the Savior that the prophets had talked about for so long. Mary was pretty confused. She was engaged, but her wedding to Joseph was still a ways off. Plus, Joseph was just a carpenter. How could their son be a king? But Gabriel told her, "Don't worry, this child will be the Son of God. With God, nothing is impossible." And Mary, full of faith, accepted it all. Mary shared everything with Joseph, even though she was already pregnant and still a virgin. Joseph, meanwhile, had a dream where an angel told him the same thing, and he was like, "All right, let's do this." So they got married and lived together in Nazareth. Then, one day, the Roman Emperor Augustus issued a decree that everyone had to return to their ancestral town to be counted for a census. So, Joseph and Mary had to travel about 110 kilometers, around 68 miles, from Nazareth to Bethlehem. Mary was almost ready to give birth, so this journey wasn't exactly a walk in the park. When they arrived in Bethlehem, all the inns were full. Nobody cared that Mary was about to have a baby, so Joseph had to find shelter in a stable. He took a feeding trough, cleaned it up, and made it into a crib for baby Jesus. And that's how the Savior of the world was born. So how does Jesus relate to Christmas? Stick around and we'll dive into that. 2. Jesus Christ and Christmas Day. Later on, Jesus Christ's birthday became known to Catholics as Christmas, or Christ's Mass. It's also called Noel, Christmas, or Xmas. In French, Noel is short for Emmanuel, meaning God is with us. The holiday kicks off on the night of December 24th, known as Christmas Eve Mass, and the main event is on December 25th, Christmas Day. During Christmas, people throw fun, festive gatherings, enjoy delicious meals with family, exchange good wishes, and decorate their Christmas trees. Kids are super excited, waiting for Santa, so they hang up stockings by the chimney. Everyone's celebrating, welcoming a brand new year full of happiness and peace. But let's go back to the life of Jesus Christ. Let's take a look at his journey, how he spread the word, and how he saved humanity back then. 3. The challenging journey of Jesus' ministry. So, when baby Jesus was born, it was a time of pure joy everywhere. At the same time, angels were spreading the news of his birth, and a special star guided 3 wise men to him. They brought all sorts of amazing gifts to celebrate the birth of the Savior. This is actually the beginning of the whole Christmas gift-giving tradition. Cool, right? But the birth of little Jesus didn't sit too well with King Herod. Fearing he might be replaced by this new king, he ordered his soldiers to kill all the baby boys under 2 years old in Bethlehem, trying to wipe out the threat. But Jesus was protected by angels and safely taken to Egypt with his family. According to the Gospel of Luke, Jesus began his ministry around the age of 30. He traveled everywhere, preaching the good news, telling people to stay away from sin, to be kind, and to love others unconditionally. He urged them to live good lives and stay strong in faith. His message woke up many Jewish people, and soon crowds began following him wherever he went. But in a society full of lies, cruelty, and power struggles, the leaders were jealous and saw him as a threat to their power. And sadly, one of his own disciples betrayed him, leading to a painful, bloody end. Before all this persecution happened, though, it was foreshadowed in a powerful way, a deep and meaningful painting. 4. The Mystery of the Last Supper. The Last Supper. One of Leonardo da Vinci's most famous works is the painting The Last Supper. This painting is famous for its incredible detail and deep artistic value. It shows Jesus sitting down for his final meal with the 12 apostles, the Last Supper before he was taken to be crucified. At this final meal, before being arrested, Jesus broke the bread, gave thanks, and shared it with his disciples. He also prophesied that one of them will betray him. You can see that Jesus stayed calm, but there's a touch of sadness, as if he already knew the betrayal was coming and the suffering he's about to face. And sure enough, Judas, one of the disciples, betrayed Jesus by handing him over to the Roman soldiers and religious leaders for 30 pieces of silver. Now here's the kicker. Judas is the 13th person at the table, and that's why the number 13 is associated with bad luck. After this, people started avoiding having 13 people at a table. It all goes back to this story. So after Jesus is arrested, just think about the kind of suffering he had to endure. Want to know more? Let's dive in and explore together. 5. The terrifying persecution. The whole ordeal that Jesus went through. It was absolutely brutal. First, he was beaten to a pulp. Then, they mocked him by putting a crown of thorns on his head. After that, he was sentenced to carry the cross to the place of execution, and in the end, he was nailed to that cross. Even though the pain was unimaginable, he looked down at those hurting him and said, "Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing." That prayer right there, in the middle of such horrific cruelty, shows just how much love and compassion he had, even for those who were causing his suffering. It's like his heart was pure, like a mirror, so full of grace, even in the face of evil. It's a real tragedy for those who claim to follow Christ. Despite his grace, people still tried to judge him with their own flawed human standards. Some saw him as just a social reformer, others mocked him, saying he got what he deserved for claiming to be the Son of God. And his followers, they could only stand back, crying from a distance. Meanwhile, the authorities saw him as a threat to their power. When they saw Jesus was dead, a Roman soldier even stabbed him in the side with a spear to check. And guess what? Blood and water flowed out, drop by drop, like the whole world was watching this terrible injustice unfold. He left this painful, dirty world to return to the beauty of heaven. Only true believers with open hearts and clear minds can see the Savior in the form of a simple man. So where is God's true home? Let's dive in and explore it together. 6. Heaven of God. Hey, my friends! So in Christianity, heaven is the place where God lives with the angels. It's not just the divine beings and angels up there. There are also people who've reached a state of liberation from the cycle of life and death, and they're lucky enough to live there too. And honestly, it's a place with no sadness, no war, and no crime. People there are incredibly wise and super smart, like next level brilliant. In the book of Revelation, the last book of the New Testament, it says that heaven is a huge city, more beautiful than anything we've ever seen here on earth. The walls are made of precious stones, and the streets are paved with pure gold. It's a place full of angels, protecting humans from the demons down in the dark pits of hell. But here's the thing, not everyone can just get into heaven because they're Christian or have faith. It's not that simple. In this world, people are often lost and confused. They chase after fame, money, and power, no matter the cost. They commit wrongdoings without caring about the consequences. When their desires are satisfied, they just want more. Like they think they're invincible, like they'll never die. What they don't know is that beyond this vast universe, up there is a realm so magnificent and pure that we can't even imagine it. A place that can't be tainted by things like greed or envy. To reach this paradise, people need to let go of their bad desires, purify their hearts and minds, and have a heart full of kindness, compassion, and love. Only then can they meet the standard needed to return to their true heavenly home. If not, they'll just keep reincarnating over and over. I know some of you might still be skeptical about the truth of all this, but trust me, the facts I'm about to share next will definitely make you think twice. 7. Miracles that prove Jesus really existed. My friends, you've probably heard the saying Jesus once said, "Blessed are those who have not seen and yet have believed." That quote really packs a punch. It shows us that beings like Jesus and Buddha came to Earth in human form to help save humanity from suffering. But here's the kicker. Only those who believe wholeheartedly, even without seeing miracles, truly deserve God's infinite grace. Still, there are some things that are pretty hard to ignore when it comes to proof of Jesus' existence. Like this, there's a statue of Jesus in a church in Saltillo, Coahuila de Zaragoza, Mexico. At one point, something freaky happened. The statue's eyes opened wide and stared at the people, then suddenly closed again. Sounds wild, right? Well, it got the attention of both Catholic scholars and scientists who investigated the footage. After a thorough review, they confirmed the video was not tampered with. It was real. But wait, it gets even crazier. According to the Daily Mail, another statue of Jesus actually moved its head during a Catholic procession in Saltillo, Mexico. In the video, you can see the statue's head tilt up, and it even looks like its eyes blinked, just like the one in the church. Talk about strange, right? And let's not forget the numerous photos of clouds that seem to form images of Jesus. But the most mind-blowing case has to be that of KINH. At just 4 years old, she amazed everyone with her painting skills. She'd even tell her parents about the time she went to heaven and saw all sorts of things. There was also this one time she disappeared for no clear reason, and according to KINH, she met Jesus. He even taught her how to paint and write poetry. Here's the most jaw-dropping part. Her family was completely atheist. No belief in God, no religious training for KINH, yet she painted incredibly realistic portraits of Jesus and heavenly visions. She didn't learn this in art school. KINH once said, "Nobody told me who Jesus was. I found him on my own. He's always been with me." She doesn't belong to any religion, just to Jesus. Her paintings have left people absolutely stunned. After witnessing these miracles, her parents, who were once atheists, now have a deep, unwavering faith in God. To them, these once unbelievable miracles are no longer just random events, but undeniable signs of the divine. Guys, so we just dove into some mind-blowing mysteries about the life of Jesus Christ. And I gotta ask, what truth shocked you the most? Let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, hit that thumbs up and subscribe to KINH LUP TV so you never miss our latest videos. Wishing you all a Merry Christmas filled with joy and family. See you in the next one.